A storm warning was issued, and Jessica Collins called, asking me to pick her up from work. Halfway there, I received her message. No need to pick me up. I'm staying at Freddy's for a few days. I didn't argue or make a fuss, just replied with a simple okay. Late that night, Jessica's university junior posted another Facebook status visible only to me. In the photo, Jessica was curled up in his arms, feeding him snacks, with the storm raging outside the window. The caption read, "What better way to weather a storm than with the girl I love most?" I calmly liked the post, but Jessica suddenly called to question my intentions for liking it. I answered her calmly, "It means we're breaking up. Ding." Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. The storm had finally passed. On the third day, Jessica Collins finally called me. "Can you come pick me up from Freddy's place? He's busy and can't drop me off." In the past, I would have dropped everything to pick her up as soon as she called. But this time, I simply replied while stirring my porridge, "Just take a cab home." Half an hour later, Jessica trudged through the front door with her suitcase, a gloomy expression on her face. "I haven't even been home yet, and you're just sitting here eating?" Her voice was filled with obvious displeasure. I paused mid-spoonful, looking at her with confusion. Jessica impatiently shrugged off her coat, her tone growing sharper. "Stop eating and wash the clothes in my suitcase first. The power at Freddy's was knocked out by the storm yesterday, so I couldn't even shower." As she headed for the bathroom, I calmly responded, "I'm busy. Just put them in the washing machine." Jessica stopped in her tracks, furrowing her brow as she glared at me. "Hank Brown, are you done with this nonsense? It was so dangerous during the storm, and you were too slow to come get me. That's why I stayed at Freddy's. Is my life worth nothing to you? Do you really need to be this jealous?" I swallowed the last spoonful of porridge and took my bowl to the kitchen, not wanting to argue with her. But Jessica kept staring at me intently. After a few seconds, as if realizing something, she continued berating me. "Don't tell me you're still upset about that Facebook post? I told you it was just a joke. Freddy's friend was teasing him about being single, and he didn't like it, so he posted that to cause confusion. When he saw you liked it, he got scared and deleted it right away, asking me to explain. Why are you, a grown man, getting so worked up over a kid's antics?" I found it somewhat amusing. Freddy was 28, hardly a kid anymore. I was only a year older, yet somehow I'd become an old man. Seeing no point in continuing the conversation, I finished washing the dishes before calmly saying, "I really don't have time to do your laundry. I need to go out." Jessica looked surprised, as I would usually argue back in the past. This time I was unexpectedly calm. Her expression changed several times, and just as I was leaving the living room, she suddenly came up and kissed me. "There, you're not angry anymore, right?" Jessica gave me a haughty look, as if she had my emotions completely under her control. But I instinctively pushed her away, feeling slightly nauseated. In the past, even when Jessica had done something wrong, she would never show weakness, let alone try to appease me in this way. Now, for Freddy's sake, she was actually initiating a kiss. It seems that during these 3 days, everything that could have happened between them probably did. I discreetly wiped my face and went to put on my shoes by the door. Jessica stared at me in disbelief. "Hank Brown, what's that supposed to mean? Are you disgusted by me?" "No, just being hygienic," I said flatly. Jessica was about to explode in anger when my phone suddenly rang. My rideshare had arrived downstairs. Seeing that I was about to leave, Jessica suddenly grabbed me, her expression a mix of panic and complexity. "What's gotten into you today? Where are you going?" "The office," I answered briefly. Jessica let out a sigh of relief and said coldly, "Cancel the ride. I'll drive you." The car was a gift from me to Jessica, but she rarely let me ride in it. This time, she was being uncharacteristically considerate, but I wanted to refuse. However, she had already grabbed the car keys from the entryway and walked ahead, her usual domineering style. With no choice, I canceled the rideshare and followed her downstairs. Her mood seemed somewhat complicated, but I didn't want to delve into it. Today, I just wanted to go to the office and take care of my business. As I settled into the passenger seat, I immediately noticed the cartoon sticker that read, "Boyfriend Spot," plastered prominently on the dashboard. Jessica had always been a neat freak. You couldn't find a single stray hair in her car, let alone such a gaudy decoration. I knew exactly who had put that sticker there. Jessica glanced at me sideways, her look seeming to say, "Aren't you going to ask about it?" In the past, whenever anything related to Freddy came up, I'd ask, and she'd blow up, accusing me of being petty. This time, I chose to remain silent. After 10 minutes, Jessica suddenly slapped the steering wheel, her voice laced with anger. "Why aren't you saying anything? Just ask what you want to ask." I looked at her, bewildered. "I don't have anything to ask." Jessica was so furious she couldn't speak. After a while, she said stiffly, "Freddy put that sticker there. I was going to wash the car soon, so I didn't bother removing it." She paused, then added, "There's really nothing between us. Don't be petty and jealous again." I nodded, actually not caring anymore. "I know. You're mentor and mentee. I trust you both." In the past, whenever there was any ambiguity between them, I'd get jealous and we'd have huge rows. Jessica would always use this excuse to placate me. Now that I was using the same words to show understanding, Jessica suddenly became angry. "What's with that attitude? You're being passive-aggressive." I spread my hands helplessly. "I really think you've done nothing wrong." Before I could finish, Jessica suddenly slammed on the brakes, almost shouting, "Get out! Get out of the car right now!" I was completely baffled, but I opened the door and got out anyway. After walking a few steps, I heard Jessica calling me from behind, but I didn't turn back. I just quickened my pace. I really couldn't understand why she suddenly got so angry. When I cared about her relationship with Freddy, she called me petty. When I went along with her, she wasn't satisfied either. This woman was impossible to please. There was still a mile to the office. I decided to walk the rest of the way. I was mainly going there to complete my resignation procedures. In the past, for Jessica's sake, I had stayed in this town, refused my family's inheritance, and even cut ties with my parents. It wasn't until 3 days ago, during that typhoon, when I risked my life to pick up Jessica, only to be stood up. On my way home, I was injured by falling debris in the storm, my shoulder hurting so badly I couldn't sleep all night. While scrolling through Facebook, I saw that Freddy and Jessica had broken up. At that moment, I felt like both my mind and body had reached their limit. And then, as if on cue, my parents called. "Hank, darling, the news says there's a big storm where you are. Please don't go out." My mom's worried voice came through. Hearing my parents' concern, I, a grown man, couldn't help but burst into tears. The love I had been so adamant about turned out to be nothing but a joke in the end. I promised them I would go back to take over the family business and booked a flight for the day after tomorrow. As for my relationship with Jessica, let it end here. As I stepped through the company doors, I took a deep breath and mustered up the courage to hand in my resignation to Neil Clark, my boss. He looked at me, his eyes showing no surprise, but rather a serious intensity as he tried to persuade me. "Hank, lovers' quarrels are just part and parcel of a relationship, aren't they? Smooth things over, and it'll all blow over. If you make a big fuss like this, aren't you afraid Jessica might not forgive you?" I was stunned. Apparently, Jessica had already called him. Neil continued, "She asked me to tell you that she's blocked you on WhatsApp and won't be coming home tonight. She wants you to think long and hard about your actions." Jessica and I had always kept our arguments private, never involving others. This time, she was clearly trying to teach me a lesson. In the past, I might have desperately tried to make amends, fearing I'd lose her. But now, I found her games utterly childish. I firmly explained to Neil that Jessica and I had broken up, emphasizing that my decision to resign was well thought out. Neil looked at me, disbelief written all over his face. "You've loved Jessica for so many years. Can you really let go just like that?" I nodded, and he sighed, beginning to process my resignation. When I returned home, Jessica, who was supposed to be out, was unexpectedly there. She was wearing a brand new dress, twirling gracefully in front of Freddy, her face beaming with a radiant smile. "Freddy, do I look nice?" Freddy's eyes sparkled with a man's possessive desire that was almost palpable. "You look stunning, Jess. You're as beautiful as a fairy." I walked past them silently. Jessica glanced at me before moving directly in front of Freddy, her voice tinged with a flirtatious tone. "Freddy, could you help me with the zipper? I'm not sure what's wrong with it." Freddy shot me a challenging look, pretending to hesitate. "Jess, I'm not sure that's appropriate. Shouldn't Hank help you with that?" Jessica scoffed. "What do you mean, Hank? He's nothing to me now." To my astonishment, she then had Freddy zip up her dress right in front of me, before affectionately linking arms with him as they left the house together. I knew she was deliberately trying to provoke me. In the past, seeing Jessica and Freddy so intimate would have driven me mad with jealousy, and I would have done anything to stop them. But now I felt surprisingly calm. I realized that my feelings for Jessica had gradually eroded away through our endless arguments and her capricious behavior. This time I was truly exhausted, and I had genuinely let go. In the dead of night, I was deep in slumber when a shrill phone ring jolted me awake. It was Amy Hawkins, Jessica's best friend. She spoke urgently. "Hank, Jessica's drunk. You need to come get her." She sent a photo as well. In the picture, Jessica was leaning into Freddy's arms, the two looking rather intimate. Jessica's friends had always looked down on me, thinking I was too dull and uninteresting. They preferred the drama of Jessica and Freddy together. This time, Amy calling me was quite unexpected. As I pondered this, I heard the sound of glasses smashing through the phone, followed by Jessica's sharp cry, "Don't call him. I don't need him to look after me. I'm going home with Freddy tonight. He's going to break up with me anyway." Amy quickly interjected, "Hank, if you don't come now, Jessica will leave with Freddy." I yawned lazily and said, "That's fine, Freddy's good at taking care of people." With that, I hung up the phone and fell back onto my pillow to continue sleeping. I'm not sure how much time passed, but suddenly I heard the sound of the front door opening. The bedroom door was then flung open. Jessica stormed in, pointing at me and shouting, "Hank, why didn't you come get me? Aren't you afraid something might happen between me and Freddy?" I rubbed my sleepy eyes, my mind still a bit foggy. In the past, when Jessica didn't come home at night or answer her phone, I'd always be frantic with worry, searching everywhere for her. Once, I found her at a pub, only to be berated in front of all her friends. "Hank, why are you so controlling? I need my freedom too." I can still remember the mocking looks from her friends. This time I didn't go to bother her, yet Jessica was confronting me about it. I found this utterly confusing. I took a moment to gather myself, then calmly said, "You're an adult, capable of making your own decisions. Besides, you have your own personal life and freedom." Seeing my calm demeanor, Jessica was momentarily stunned. She stared at my face for a long while, then suddenly a flash of understanding crossed her eyes. The corner of her mouth turned up in a half-smile as she said, "You say you're not jealous? Actually, that photo Amy sent, I just lost my balance and accidentally fell into Freddy's arms." I yawned, glancing at the time 2 a.m. Jessica continued, "If it bothers you, I could bring you along when I go drinking in the future?" Seeing no response from me, she paused, then suddenly became impatient. "Do I have to cut off all contact with Freddy to make you happy?" I shook my head wearily. "I really didn't mean that. I trust that you and Freddy are just friends." I couldn't help but yawn again. "I'm tired. Can we talk about this tomorrow?" Jessica's face showed a hint of hurt, her eyes filled with a puzzled look I couldn't quite read. A few seconds later, she suddenly came forward, took off her coat, and climbed into bed, hugging me as she said in a muffled voice, "Hank, what's wrong with you? Is it because I've been neglecting you these past few days? I'll make it up to you now, okay?" Jessica's hand began to slide downwards. In the past, if Jessica had been this forward, I would have eagerly responded. But now I stopped her advances. "Sorry, I'm too tired. I'm not in the mood." Jessica's expression froze, and in the next second, she flew into a rage. She slapped me hard across the face, called me a bastard, then stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I heard the front door open as well, guessing Jessica had left the house. In the past, if she had run out in the middle of the night, I would have immediately chased after her to bring her back. But now, I turned off the light and went back to sleep. Wherever Jessica went, she'd be fine. When I woke up the next day, Jessica still hadn't returned. I was due to go home tomorrow, and I had just finished packing my luggage when my mate called, saying they wanted to throw me a farewell party. Back when I was dating Jessica, she wouldn't let me go out drinking and even restricted my interactions with my mates. We barely got together a few times a year. Now that I was leaving, I wanted to have a proper drink with my friends. I arrived at the hotel, checked in, and went straight to the private room downstairs. The dinner party was full of old friends, except for one young woman I didn't recognize, probably in her early 20s. My mate Kenny Wilson introduced her with a smile. "This is Bella Gill, my junior colleague. She's also moving to Fishertown for work soon, same place as you. You two should get to know each other." Everyone egged me on to add the pretty girl on WhatsApp. I smiled and took the initiative to scan her code. Just as I was about to scan, I heard Jessica's angry shout from behind, "Hank!" I turned around in shock to see Jessica walking into the room with Freddy Harris. She stormed up to me, glaring fiercely, then turned to face Bella, declaring possessively, "I'm sorry, but Hank is my boyfriend. I don't allow him to add contact details of other women." Bella gave me a surprised look, but before she could say anything, I pressed the add button. As the page disappeared, Jessica's face darkened to an extreme. She didn't yell at me, but her eyes were full of anger. The atmosphere in the room became very awkward. Freddy suddenly stepped forward, trying to smooth things over. "Hank, mate, I spent all night comforting Jessica before she calmed down. Don't make her angry again. We were just out for dinner when we happened to see you, and Jessica came right over. She really cares about you. How could you add another girl? That's like having two boats under your feet, isn't it?" Jessica stared at me intently, her anger growing. Freddy continued, playing the peacemaker. "Hank, if you're bothered by my presence, I can leave right away. Don't let me be the reason for you and Jessica to have a falling out." Freddy had stirred up trouble many times before, and I used to get angry and argue with him every time. But Jessica always protected him. This time, as he resorted to his old tricks, I wasn't angry anymore. It was like watching a clown perform. "Of course I don't mind. You're already here. Please sit down," I said casually, gesturing for everyone else to sit down as well. I took a seat next to Bella. There were 2 seats left. Jessica glared at me, her face dark, her meaning very clear. She wanted me to move over to her voluntarily. But I pretended not to notice, pouring drinks for my friends. After I'd gone around the table, Jessica finally couldn't hold back anymore. "Hank, come out with me. I need to talk to you," she said. I knew Jessica didn't want to argue in front of others. It wasn't dignified. But I couldn't be bothered to cooperate with her. I said coolly, "If you have something to say, just say it here." Jessica's face darkened further, her nails digging into her palms. She strode over in her high heels, about to grab me, when Kenny quickly stood up and blocked her, saying, "Jess, come on now. You and Hank have been through so much together over the years, and we've all seen it. Hank even fell out with his family to stay and work here for you. We all thought you'd end up together, but we never expected you to break up." Kenny raised a glass and said wistfully, "Whatever caused you to end things, Hank is leaving town now. You should part on good terms. Since you and your new boyfriend are here, why don't we all have a drink together to see Hank off?" The others also stood up with their drinks, saying some farewell words to me. I smiled and drank it all in one go, about to say something. But Jessica suddenly knocked over her glass, as if she had heard something unbelievable, looking at me with tears in her eyes. "Hank, are you really going back to Fishertown? Why didn't you tell me?" Jessica's voice trembled, her eyes glistening with tears. I had never seen her so vulnerable before. I was stunned for a moment, feeling conflicted. Jessica, the girl who had always been so high and mighty, was crying because of me? But I quickly understood. She was just unaccustomed to losing her obedient pet that had always followed her every whim. I replied nonchalantly, "Didn't you block me on WhatsApp? How was I supposed to tell you?" Jessica's expression changed, and she hastily defended herself. "But even if you couldn't contact me directly, couldn't you have asked one of my friends? You deliberately kept it from me." Her voice rose by several octaves. "I've been tolerant enough these past few days. What gives you the right to break up with me? How dare you leave without saying a word?" I was left speechless by her words, though I was long accustomed to her unreasonable arguments. The people around us looked at each other awkwardly, unsure of how to react. I apologized to everyone and then turned to Freddy. "Please take your girlfriend outside." Freddy was stunned, clearly not expecting me to say that. I repeated, "Do I need to call security?" Jessica couldn't take it anymore. She stormed out of the private room in anger, her sobs still audible. Freddy chased after her. I closed the door and said lightly, "Finally, some peace and quiet. Let's continue drinking." Kenny looked at me with concern and asked in a low voice, "You really broke up?" I nodded. Kenny seemed to want to say something more but swallowed his words. "To be honest, I never thought you and Jessica were a good match. She's too domineering. It's probably for the best that you've split up. You were always a rich kid from Fishertown. You've suffered for years here for a girl. Go back and enjoy life. A great man like you won't lack for a wife." I knew my friend was trying to comfort me. Everyone around us knew how much I had sacrificed for Jessica over the years. Breaking up so suddenly and deciding to return home, anyone would think I was suffering from extreme heartbreak and unable to move on. But only I knew that true heartbreak doesn't happen overnight. Jessica going to Freddy's place during the storm was just the final straw. Over the past 5 years, Jessica had done countless things to hurt me. Whether it was spending my birthday with Freddy or bringing him along on our dates, there were many such incidents. I had compromised and reassured myself more than once, but ultimately, there was a limit. Now that the limit had been exceeded, it was natural for me to leave. My friends drank quite a bit with me and chatted about everything under the sun. Bella, the junior, thoughtfully poured water for us, which led to another round of teasing from the others. As the gathering came to an end, I planned to go out and buy a bottle of water. But as soon as I stepped out of the hotel, I saw Jessica sitting on a stone bench outside. Seeing me come out, she quickly ran over, her eyes full of tears, choking with both sorrow and anger. "Why didn't you come after me?" I ran out. "Weren't you worried that I might do something rash in my emotional state?" I replied coolly, "Your boyfriend went after you, didn't he?" Hearing the word boyfriend, Jessica's expression became even more complex. She anxiously explained, "Aren't you just jealous? Why won't you admit it? There's nothing between Freddy and me. Nothing. Nothing. How many times do I have to say it for you to understand? When he chased after me earlier, I sent him away." Her questioning drew the attention of passers-by. I pulled her to a less crowded corner before saying, "Calm down, Jessica. It's over between us. I don't care if you're with Freddy or anyone else. It has nothing to do with me anymore." Jessica stared at me blankly for a while before asking shakily, "So, you really want to break up with me?" "Yes." My unhesitating answer seemed to hurt Jessica even more. She choked for a long time before asking hoarsely, "When's your flight?" "Tomorrow." "Cancel it. Let's go home and talk this through." "Okay?" Jessica grabbed my hand, trying hard to control her emotions. But I shook my head. "No need. I've already moved my things out." Jessica was stunned. She couldn't believe that in just one day, I had made all the preparations to leave. She was about to say something when her phone suddenly rang. As soon as she answered, I heard Freddy's familiar whining voice. "Jess, I've been in a car accident. Can you come? I'm at City Hospital. I'm so scared." Hearing the words, car accident, Jessica suddenly became flustered. I felt a sense of lonely clarity. If Freddy was really in trouble, how could he still be whining and acting coy? But Jessica always fell for this act. Sure enough, Jessica looked at me apologetically. Hank, I have to go to the hospital right now to be with Freddy. He has no family here. Please wait for me. Don't leave. I waved my hand casually and said, Go ahead. He needs you. Jessica gave me a long look before turning away without hesitation. I had seen this scene so many times I'd lost count. It had become routine. Every time, Freddy would have some mishap to lure Jessica away. In the past, I would have been angry and indignant. Now I just felt relieved. After buying water and returning to the hotel, I went to bed early, planning to wake up at 2 a.m. to head to the airport. Before leaving, I checked my phone and saw a message from Jessica. Wait for me, don't go. Things are a bit complicated with Freddy. I need to stay with him. Just rest at the hotel. Wait for me to come back so we can talk face to face. Please don't fly back on your own. I'll come find you very soon, in an hour at the latest. The plane would have taken off an hour later. Jessica was making empty promises as usual, but I couldn't be bothered to play along. I headed straight to the airport. Just as I was about to board my flight home, my phone suddenly rang. It was Jessica. Her voice carried a hint of urgency. Hank, where are you? Didn't I tell you to wait for me? Why aren't you at the hotel? I sighed, feeling a bit exasperated. Didn't you see my message? Freddy had a car accident. I couldn't just leave him there, could I? Never mind. I know you haven't boarded yet. Wait for me at the airport. I'm coming to pick you up. Jessica's voice had a commanding tone to it. I glanced at the slowly moving queue in front of me and casually brushed her off. No need. I'm already on the plane. Then I quickly hung up, her anxious calls still echoing in my ears. I felt a bit cynical. If she really wanted to keep me, she should have shown up earlier. Why wait until now? My feelings for her were gone, and I was just disgusted by her insincere tactics. For hours later, the plane landed. My parents were already waiting for me outside the airport. Seeing them, I felt a lump in my throat. Mum had more wrinkles on her face, and Dad's back was more hunched. I wiped away a tear and quickly went to greet them with a smile. Mum also wiped the corner of her eye and playfully scolded me. You rascal, you've finally come back. We returned to our family home, where Grandpa was also waiting for me. He didn't reproach me, just smiled and said, It's good to have you back. After dinner, I had just returned to my room when my phone started ringing nonstop. They were all missed calls from Jessica. I was about to block her when the phone rang again. After answering, Jessica asked with a sob in her voice, Hank, did you really abandon me and go home? I gave a non-committal response. But I clearly said I would come back, we could talk things through. Even if I did something wrong, you should give me a chance. Shouldn't you? There was a pleading tone in her voice. We've known each other for 7 years. Dated for 5. How can you be so heartless? Jessica started her habitual accusations again. I was really fed up and cut her off. Jessica, we've already broken up. Stop bothering me. There was silence on the other end of the line, with only the sound of constant sobbing. I was stunned. This was the harshest thing I had ever said to Jessica. Jessica quickly composed herself and said chokingly, I don't care, I don't agree to break up, we're not breaking up. I'm only giving you a 3-day holiday. After 3 days, you have to come back. Otherwise, I'll come find you. You decide. She hung up, but I frowned. From what I knew of Jessica, she wouldn't care about me this much. Moreover, Freddy was still in the hospital, and she wouldn't be willing to leave him. I quickly put this matter out of my mind. For the next 3 days, I went shopping with Mum, had tea with my childhood friends, and enjoyed a comfortable and carefree life. Hank, you should have come back earlier to enjoy this. Why did you have to suffer for those few years? My childhood friend's comment was a true reflection of my inner thoughts. Fortunately, I had woken up, and a beautiful life was still ahead of me. That day, I was playing chess with Grandpa at home when he smiled and told me he wanted to introduce a girl to me. The girl was the granddaughter of Grandpa's war buddy, also in Fishertown, and would be visiting today. Forget about that girl you used to date. This last grandpa found for you is much prettier than the previous one. I wasn't in the mood for dating now, but I couldn't bear to refuse grandpa's good intentions. I just said that when the person comes, we could be friends first. As we were chatting, the housekeeper came over and said, "Young master, there's someone called Jessica Collins here to see you." Jessica. For 3 days, I had deliberately tried to forget this name, but hearing it still made my heart skip a beat involuntarily. I didn't expect her to really come to Fishertown to find me. I was about to tell the housekeeper to say I wasn't in, but Grandpa smiled and said, "Hank, matters that need to be settled shouldn't be dragged out." Grandpa's words woke me up. Since Jessica had come to find me, I might as well clear things up once and for all. I walked outside and immediately saw Jessica standing under a big tree, wearing a forest-style dress, her hands behind her back, carrying a canvas bag. She looked exactly like she did when we first met. For a moment, I was dazed. It was as if we had traveled through time, and a certain emotion in the depths of my heart was stirred. But I quickly regained my composure. 5 years of humble devotion had left deeper marks on my heart than the past. I clearly remembered how I used to beg her to wear the dress from our first meeting again. But she impatiently mocked me. "Hank, are you being childish? Forest style is the last thing I want to wear." After that, I never dared to make that request again. After such a long time, Jessica had voluntarily put on this dress for me, but now it all meant nothing. "Hank!" Jessica smiled and ran towards me from a distance, but that face was no longer the youthful and innocent girl from before. She tried to take my hand, but I immediately pulled away. Jessica's face immediately fell, but she forced a smile. "Still angry? Don't be mad. I've come all the way to find you. Guess what I brought you?" Saying this, she mysteriously pulled out a limited edition figurine from her bag. "Do you like it?" I was indeed a bit surprised, but not exactly delighted. I just felt a bit emotional, realizing that she had known what I liked all along, but just wasn't willing to put in the effort to be nice to me. Back then, when we went shopping, I bought a bunch of things for Jessica. While browsing, I saw a figurine I liked, costing about £2,000 for a set. But Jessica coldly refused to let me buy it. "Even Freddy doesn't play with these things. You're a grown man. Why are you still playing with toys? All you know is how to waste money. You'd be better off saving it for my engagement ring in the future." I didn't dare say anything, just nodded, and from then on, never dared to buy figurines in front of her again. Now I finally received a gift from her own hands, but it was no longer what I wanted. Seeing that I didn't take it, Jessica frowned. "What's wrong?" I said flatly, "I don't like it anymore." Jessica was stunned, her expression a bit hurt. She tried to force a smile. "Then what do you like now? I'll get it for you." If she had treated me like this before, I would have forgiven her for anything. But now it was too late. "No need. If there's nothing else, you should go back. Isn't Freddy still in the hospital? Go take care of him." I didn't mean anything by this. I just thought I was helping Jessica say what was in her heart. But she suddenly got angry, changing from her previous humility to questioning me. "Hank, can you stop this? You're really making me tired. I've already said there's nothing between Freddy and me. Why won't you believe me? Now I've left Freddy alone in the hospital for you. What more do you want?" I calmly looked at her. "Then don't waste time. Go back." Jessica's face immediately showed disbelief, followed by more anger. "Hank, are you ever going to stop? Do you believe that if you keep this up, I'll go back and be with Freddy and not want you anymore?" I immediately responded, "Oh, congratulations then." As I said this, I turned to leave, but Jessica suddenly panicked, immediately grabbing my arm, anxiously explaining, "That's not what I meant." Just then, a clear voice suddenly rang out. "Hello? Is this the Brown residence?" I turned around and saw Bella, the junior I had met at the party introduced by my good friend Kenny Wilson. Her eyes held a hint of curiosity and expectation, suddenly making my mood complex. I gently pushed away Jessica and walked quickly towards Bella, feeling a bit excited inside. So this was the girl my grandfather had introduced to me. What an amazing coincidence. Come in with me. My grandfather was just talking about you, I said with a slight smile as I greeted her. Bella nodded slightly, but her gaze quickly turned to Jessica standing nearby. Jessica stood there, looking as if the world had forgotten her, with red-rimmed eyes, appearing quite pitiful. In the past, I would have felt terribly sorry for her, rushing over to hug her and comfort her softly. But now I felt nothing inside. This was just another of her little tricks to attract my attention. I walked past Jessica with Bella, not even glancing at her. It wasn't until we reached the front door that I heard Jessica call out in a tearful voice, "Hank!" I didn't turn back, just smiled at Bella and led her inside. We met my grandfather, and after chatting for a while, he tactfully left us alone. But when it was just the two of us, the atmosphere suddenly became a bit awkward. After all, Bella had witnessed both of my unpleasant encounters with Jessica, which would be uncomfortable for anyone. Bella broke the silence first. It seemed like Miss Collins really wanted to win you back just now. There was a hint of curiosity in her voice. Would you change your mind? She continued with a glimmer of hope in her eyes. I shook my head, my tone firm. What's done is done. Bella stared at me for a moment, then suddenly smiled. Time changes and so do people. The end of one love means the beginning of another. I didn't quite understand what she meant, but I felt her gaze was full of tenderness. We chatted for a while. Then I took Bella for a walk in the villa's garden. We tacitly avoided mentioning Jessica, talking about various topics, seemingly having endless common ground. However, a phone call suddenly broke our harmony. It was Freddy on the other end, who angrily shouted as soon as he picked up, "Hank, what have you done to Jessica? She went to Fishertown to find you, and now she can't be contacted. Jessica loves you so much. Even if you don't love her anymore, don't hurt her, you bastard." Freddy's outburst left me a bit stunned, but I also received a piece of information. Jessica was missing? I hung up the phone, feeling a bit uneasy. Although Jessica was an adult with a mobile phone and shouldn't be in any danger. Freddy's missing person post on Facebook had been up for a while, making me feel a bit uncomfortable. Bella was still awake and sent me a message. "Do you need my help to look into Miss Collins' situation?" I remembered my grandfather saying that Bella's family had strong connections, and they were the most efficient at finding people. After all, we had been together for years, and even if there were no feelings left, I didn't want anything to happen to her. I asked Bella for help, but half an hour later, I suddenly saw Freddy and Jessica's official announcement on Facebook. The photo was taken in the airport hall, the two of them embracing deeply, fingers intertwined with the caption, "I'll always be your backup. To the girl I love most." I felt a mix of emotions, unsure whether it was irony, ridicule, or even disgust. I immediately apologized to Bella, telling her not to bother searching as Jessica had returned. Although Bella didn't say anything, I felt like I had been played, and it wasn't the first time. In the past, whenever I upset Jessica, she would punish me by deceiving me. Once, she pretended to have a fever, forcing me to ride 30 miles in a heavy rainstorm to buy her breakfast. When I returned sick, Jessica mocked me. "How can you be so stupid? You went just because I told you to? Did you really believe I was sick just because I said so? Couldn't you have come to check first?" Looking back now, I want to slap myself twice. Being a man was too humiliating. But this would be the last time. Life gradually returned to normal, and my daily routine regained its former tranquility. I had thought that Jessica Collins would be like a passing breeze, gone as quickly as it came. But to my surprise, just a few days after the announcement, Jessica's best friend Amy Hawkins called. Her voice carried a hint of urgency and unease. "Hank, are you still upset with Jess?" That day when she announced her relationship with Freddy, it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. "She was trying to provoke you." I couldn't help but laugh. This plot was straight out of a soap opera. "Amy, Jessica, and I are long over. Don't you think it's a bit unnecessary to tell me all this?" On the other end of the line, Amy's voice suddenly caught. She clearly hadn't expected me to be so direct. After a moment, She laughed awkwardly and continued trying to persuade me to reconcile with Jessica, saying things like how our years of history weren't easy to come by and that Jessica didn't mean any harm. But I remained cold and distant, merely giving perfunctory responses. Finally, she seemed to realize something and fell silent. I heard a clear sound of a door slamming through the phone, and I knew Jessica must have been eavesdropping nearby. Over the next few days, I found myself coincidentally coming across updates about Jessica and Freddy on Facebook, where they went on dates, what delicious meals Freddy cooked for Jessica, sweet photos of the two of them. Almost all of this information was shared through mutual friends of Jessica and me. But I felt nothing about it, focusing instead on taking over the family business and continuing to get to know Bella. A month later, Jessica suddenly sent me a long message detailing everything from our first meeting to the present, including all her thoughts and feelings along the way. But I really didn't have the energy to read it carefully. After all, my life was busy enough as it was. A few days later, Jessica suddenly flew over to see me. That night, it was pouring rain, and she waited outside my office all night. When she saw me, she rushed over and hugged me without hesitation, crying her heart out. "Hank, why don't you get angry no matter what I do? You still love me, don't you?" I gently pushed her away, maintaining a distance, then calmly said, "Because I don't love you anymore, Jessica. If you really want me to forgive you, then please don't appear in my world again." With that, I walked away without looking back, heading straight towards Bella, who was waiting in the distance. I drove off with Bella for our date. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Jessica crying desperately in the heavy rain. She seemed to have lost something important, a kind of despair I had experienced for 5 years. But thankfully, my sky had finally cleared, and now I would walk towards a future that belonged to us, hand in hand with my true love.